Welcome, everybody, to the July meeting of the Triborough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, whose popular name is MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee. That's what it says here. Draw near, give attention, and you shall be heard. Mitch, it's nice to see you. Mitch is our former interim chairman who did such a wonderful job, now has a much more difficult job as the head of the Combined Railroads Committee. A great job that you did. Do we have any public speakers? In that case, it's my pleasure to introduce our up through the ranks, hardworking, extremely able President, James Ferrara.
Thank you, Commissioner. For the record, I'd like to announce that Tom Bach is retiring, and I'd like to acknowledge this at the committee. Tom isn't here today. He's retired. But I'd like to get on the record that after 20 years of service at TBTA, Tom has decided to move on, and we all wish him the best.
Before you go on, I've been reminded, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of our last meeting? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve them. All in favor? Any opposed? Are there any changes to the alleged work plan?
No changes to the work plan.
Now you're unleashed for real.
And we'll start on page 13 with the report on operations. David?
Okay, thank you, Jim. In May, there were 26 million crossings over our facilities, an increase of almost 200,000 over the prior year. If we look at factors that affect travel, motorists paid more for gas this year than last. Gas prices averaged $3 a gallon, while in May of 2009 they averaged $2.33. Weather was more favorable this year with only 8 days of precipitation versus 11 days in 2009. In May there were two holidays. There was Mother's Day and Memorial Day. Traffic on Mother's Day was 843,000 vehicles, which was about 4.5% lower than the prior year. Traffic on Memorial Day weekend, which begins on Friday and ends on Monday, was 3.15 million vehicles, or approximately 2.3% higher than in 2009. If we look at customer trends, cash-paying customers continue to decline. In May, cash customers were down by more than 8% versus the prior May. EasyPass continues to increase. It was at 4.3% higher than the prior year. Trucks were down slightly by 0.6%. If we look at the crossings, the major Bronx crossings were slightly lower. The major Manhattan crossings were up 1.8%. The Verrazano was up 0.3%, and the Henry Hudson and Rockaway facilities were up 2.5% and 4.2%, respectively. Finally, we have preliminary information for June. It indicates a 1.5% increase over June of 2009, roughly 25.9 million crossings this year. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer.
So it looks like the long decline in traffic is appearing to reverse itself, isn't it?
Yes.
So the June number and the May number were basically the same, 26 million?
Yes, June was slightly lower by about 100,000.
But still higher than last June.
That's right. I think the better comparison is year to year. I mean, month to month.
Month to month.
Yes.
Right.
So June this year versus June last year.
Okay.
Dave,
yes.
When does or has it already, the new Cross Bay toll go into effect?
23rd. Went on Friday night. Friday night.
Okay, now, because a vehicle is charged and then can go back and forth for the rest of that calendar day without being charged again, will you be able to register those vehicles as in the counts? You will still, right?
Yes. Yeah, we did before also when all the trips were rebated. They were considered paid because they're reimbursed through the mortgage recording tax.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Right. The EasyPass report for May begins, as Jim said, on page 25. For the month, our EasyPass market share was 75.2%, as Dave said, up from a year ago. And it's a continuation of the trend we've been seeing for about a year now. As was noted last month by Commissioner Albert, while still our lowest market shares, the biggest increases have been to the Bronx White Zone and the RFK Bronx bridges. and we believe the people in these financial times are seeing the benefits of the Easy Pass discount, and that's one of the main reasons why those market shares are increasing. Right. There were more than 12,700 Easy Pass accounts opened in May, and about 2,800 of them were Easy Pass on the go, which is about 22%. And more than 57,000 on the go tags have been sold since the program began about a year and a half ago. That includes the Easy Pass report, unless there are any questions. I'll move on to the financial report, which begins on page 31.
I drove to Maine the weekend before last and used Easy Pass the whole way up, and there was not one swinging gate outside of New York State. As a matter of fact, there were overhead recorders that somehow worked almost every place. So we got something to look forward to.
Okay. Financial report begins on page 31. Total revenue through the first 5 months was up about 0.2% against the adopted budget, about 1.6% in May, as Dave alluded to, the higher traffic that month. Total expenses year to date are down about 3.4%, $5.6 million. That's primarily due to lower labor expenses. Overtime in particular is down more than 17%, or $2 million year to date, and in May alone it was down about 38%. So we're making a lot of great progress on overtime. Non-labor expenses are down about $500,000 year to date, and our support to mass transit was approximately $327 million through May, more than $26 million better than planned.
Well, congratulations on lowering the overtime so much. We don't want to give anybody here credit because we don't want to out anybody in particular. But well done, you guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Keene. I'm filling in for Tom Bach today. On the capital report, page 41 of the booklet, this month's report reflects B&T's 2010 commitments have been increased from $25.7 million to $186.8 million, and this reflects the inclusion of the 2010 commitments for the new 2010-14 capital program. In June, there were 9 commitments totaling only $6 million, with four commitments related to the all-electronic tolling project for $3 million, a $2.3 million construction admin project for the Verrazano painting project, and several other minor commitments. Through the end of June, B&T has committed $29.4 million against a plan of $29.4 million. On completions, the most significant completion in June was the completion of HH80. That was the replacement of the lower level deck at the Henry Hudson Bridge at $88.3 million. All in all, I think this was a very successful project. Completions for the year to date, $161.7 million out of a planned $164 million. And finally, closeouts, we're doing $145 million of closeouts year to date. Thank you.
Just a question, where are we now on the Throgs Neck in regard to the moving from one project to another project?
As you know, the Cross Island southbound ramp has been fully reopened, and
right.
we're sort of entering the final stages of the work along the Clearview. We're maintaining 2 lanes on the Clearview at peak hour.
This is Clearview North.
Clearview South.
Clearview South.
Clearview
Okay.
South.
Right. Okay.
So the project is actually winding its way towards completion and should be complete late fall this year, if not sooner.
So then all the southbound work would have been completed.
That's correct.
Okay.
The Verrazano, as you know, we completed the first stage of the toll booth removal. There's a second phase which involves removing the HVAC equipment in the center 3 toll lanes and then removing those 3 center toll lanes. That project is about to be awarded, and meanwhile the large interchange reconstruction project is basically nearing final design completion, and we'll start procuring that shortly thereafter. So I think we're on track with our plans at the Verrazano.
Okay. Good afternoon. There are 3 procurements this month totaling about $7.429 million. One is a non-competitive procurement, and it is an amendment to a personal service contract with Total Safety Consulting, LLC, to extend the period of performance beyond 1 year for an additional 6 months for the consultant to continue to provide site safety inspections and monitoring of ongoing construction projects, so that Bridges and Tunnels may competitively solicit a joint procurement, select a qualified consultant, and award a new contract. This extension will be at no additional cost.
You've broken the world's record there. We have never seen, at least since I came to this country, a
zero
procurement at no
project.
cost.
That's because of our guidelines are such that on a personal service contract, we can award a contract within a 1-year period, and then if the time of performance goes beyond 1 year, we need to get your approval. And
Even though it's at no cost?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's probably not worth discussing the legalities of that one. I thought we only had to approve your spending money, not getting anything for free.
It's a unique procurement.
If you had 2 more like that, we would have suggested to you that you throw them back and see if they grow up, and we'll catch them again in September and see if we can keep them.
The other 2 are competitive procurements. The first item is a multi-agency miscellaneous service contract for firms to provide maintenance and repair of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems located at various bridges and tunnels and Staten Island rapid transit facilities to AWL Industries, Inc. in the amounts of $6,451,380 and $7,245,000 respectively, and also at New York City Transit Department of Buses locations to Ultimate Power Incorporated in the amount of $789,105 for a total value of $7,247,730. The duration of these contracts is 3 years. Second competitive procurement is a multi-agency miscellaneous service contract with Corporate Courier New York, Inc. to provide motor and messenger services for both on-call and scheduled pickup and delivery of letters, packages, and other related items to and from various locations in the amounts of $130,538 for the MTA, $30,260 for Long Island Railroad, and $20,439 for New York City Transit's Law Department, in a total amount of $181,237. Each contract is for a duration of 3 years. Metro North and Bridges and Tunnels rejected all bids on the basis that the scopes of work will be revised. There are no ratifications. And that completes my report.
Anybody have any questions on these, so the 2 1/4 procurements?
I find it interesting that Bridges and Tunnels is bringing us a procurement which they themselves are rejecting.
That's the practice that we're going to take.
I'm just reading it. It seems.
So how do we handle that?
That seems to be a little strange in that regard.
Since it was a joint procurement, we were the lead agency. As a matter of formality, we would then bring it to this committee and then the board as well for approval.
Okay.
I just wanted to offer one other piece of information on the personal service contract, since
Surely.
we were beating a dead horse to some extent. That
We like to do that, though, you know.
The threshold for our internal approval is less than $15,000, and that would mean that that personal service contract could go on indefinitely. But given that the total safety contract was in excess of $15,000, we have the requirement to go to the board for an extension beyond 1 year.
Any other questions? Somebody would like to move these 2 1/8 procurements?
Move them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The procurements are adopted.
Very good. If there are no further questions, in conclusion, I'd like to introduce our new acting general counsel, Peg Terry. Bob O'Brien has decided to retire after 25 years of service, so I'd like to introduce Peg to the committee.
Welcome. Don't worry, your first opinion will not be on whether we have to approve our procurement for no money or not.
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, I.
agreement at the moment that affects some of the improvements that are going to take place in the Staten Island Expressway proximate to the bridge?
Yes.
Have any impact on our ramps
There's no impact. The next piece of that puzzle will be the on-ramps from Capodanno. Joe, if you want to expound on that.
Yeah, that's correct, Jim. The state awarded a contract to L'Aquila Construction a few months back. That is the contract that will widen the fingerboard throat off the corridor and relocate the ramps downstream of our property. So that is the contract that is of most immediate benefit to us, and that is not affected by the current controversy. The controversy concerns the bus lane extension project, which is further down.
Any further business to come before the meeting? If not, I wish you all a very pleasant summer. See you in September. Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, that's right. I'll see you on Wednesday. I got ahead of myself. Somehow the motion to adjourn carried. Sub silentio.
You know what?